Trudeau says killing of babies in Gaza must stop. Netanyahu responds. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has expressed his concern over the escalating violence in Gaza and called for a ceasefire to protect the lives of civilians. He also condemned the rocket attacks by Hamas on Israel and said he supports the efforts of the United States to broker a peaceful solution. Trudeau's remarks came after French President Emmanuel Macron said there was no justification for the Israeli bombing of babies, women and elderly people in Gaza. Macron urged Israel to stop the attacks and said a humanitarian pause was needed to allow aid to reach the besieged Palestinian territory. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu rejected Macron's call and said that Hamas was responsible for the civilian deaths in Gaza. He said that Israel was not trying to conquer or govern Gaza, but to prevent the re-emergence of a Hamas-like entity that would threaten Israel and the world. He said that a ceasefire would only mean surrendering to Hamas and that Israel would continue to defend itself against the terrorist group. The World Health Organization, WHO, said that a child was killed every 10 minutes in Gaza as a result of the Israeli airstrikes. The UN agency said that the health system in Gaza was on the verge of collapse and that hospitals and ambulances were severely damaged by the attacks. The WHO also said that thousands of people were displaced and in need of shelter, food and water. The United Nations Security Council held an emergency meeting on Friday to discuss the situation in Gaza. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken called for humanitarian pauses to enable urgent aid shipments to Gaza civilians. He also reiterated the U.S. support for Israel's right to self-defense and said that Hamas must stop firing rockets at Israel. He said that the U.S. was working with Egypt and other partners to achieve a lasting ceasefire and a political solution to the conflict. The war between Israel and Hamas, which began on October 9th, has claimed the lives of more than 1,500 Palestinians and 70 Israelis, according to the latest figures. The international community has expressed alarm over the humanitarian crisis in Gaza and the risk of further escalation in the region.